Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Bull Rush. My name is Mr. Shmooledorf. I am joined, as always, by Mr. Wolfman on my right, Mr. Noirbot on my left. We are back during our hiatus for a special news edition of the Bull Rush. Kind of said we were going to do it because we needed to, because big-ass news.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just the ass news was just so large.
Yeah,
there was really no choice.
Well, and because, we had said
We're
when we
off
were
to a
planning
great
on
start,
doing...
guys.
When we had said when we were doing the last show that if they had finally, or when they finally come out and say, hey, this is our current partner, this is the person that's been funding us for a little while here, we would come in and bring our input, and hey, they finally said it, and honestly speaking, I'm okay with it.
I feel like I wasn't surprised by it.
I was a little, just because I'm not as familiar with Perfect World Entertainment, as I am with other, companies.
I'm not either. That's the problem.
The only familiarity I have with them is through stuff like Torchlight that they published, and also stuff like Star Trek Online, which one of our friends plays. We don't play it. I've never played it, but
I think the thing though is, and I don't know if I can't remember if I've done this discussion on the show before, but I mean, really, when it came down to it, there weren't that many options for places that could actually pick up, right? Because it couldn't be 2K because they already had Battleborn. It can't be Blizzard because they already have Overwatch. It can't be EA because
it can't be EA.
It can't be EA because they already have investment in other things.
Because apparently they're also making another game that is called Gigantic. Have we heard of that already?
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yep.
What is this?
It's slated to release in 2020, so they're probably going to change the name somewhere in between there. But anyway,
essentially all the other
major
studios that you would think of as they'll acquire some small indie studio already are making a competitor to Gigantic, or are making something
other investments.
Or something where it's Sony isn't going to get in because they're already in bed with Microsoft, and that would be weird and awkward and probably wouldn't happen. Nintendo doesn't buy other companies.
That, and let's be honest here, Sony doesn't necessarily have that market, open to. I feel like they're in the same area as EA's, where they don't necessarily feel like they'd want to get into that market. It's the same reason why EA decided to drop Dawngate, is they didn't feel like Wolfie's leaving now, I guess. He doesn't like us anymore.
Well, Sony Entertainment Online, I guess SOE kind of folded, didn't it?
Yeah.
But, Sony, it wouldn't be the weirdest investment, but, because of the Microsoft deal, and because, and as we saw, we're still going to be on Xbox. Gigantic is going to stay as an Xbox property. So there was, no chance that we were going to see them get picked up onto another console, really.
Exactly, for that reason.
And so, and I think as time went on and we didn't hear, who their partner was, it became more and more apparent that it was either a bigger deal, they were going to get wholly bought out, or it was a company where there was going to be more, I don't know, more paperwork, and so more paperwork involved, which it makes sense why it's an international company.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The longer it took, the more it's okay, well, if you're talking about a Chinese company buying a U.S. company, it kind of makes sense that it takes longer to file all the paperwork and work out who's paying who and what currency and that kind of stuff.
And let's talk about that for a little bit of a second here, because that was one thing that's always been kind of brought up here and there on the Reddit, is people saying, hey, is the game ever going to become available to me? And we're talking about people from stuff like Singapore, Oceania, Australia, we're talking about people from Korea, or even China. That's something that I haven't really seen too many people talk about, is that this is an international company with the ability to publish a game in other countries. To bring this game to other areas. Microsoft is as well, but here's the thing. I don't think that they were going to be doing too much to bring server bases to places like Korea or China because of the paperwork involved with that, but I think that Perfect World Entertainment not only has the ability, but really has a lot of good reasons to do it. Because especially if they want to make this an esports title, or if they want to bring, esports into the title, all they have to do that is to publish it in places like South Korea, in China, in Oceanic, server bases, because that's where a lot of esports are tested and are played.
My only issue with that is the fact that with the limited knowledge of Perfect World that I know, they are people that publish mostly MMO games. And
Yeah.
we know that Gigantic's not an MMO.
Wow.
So I don't know exactly how they're. I don't know
It's
exactly
not
how
an
they're-
MMORPG. It's
I
still
mean,
an
I'm
MMO.
Well, it's not massively. Like it's not
It's
massively
an online.
multiplayer.
It's not
game,
massive yet.
That's all it is. But that's breaching guidelines and definitions. But what I'm saying is that the publishing part of their company, I don't feel like they know exactly how to push forward a competitive style game that is a quote unquote MOBA genre.
The one thing about that, and somebody in the chat can probably correct me on this, as I recall, Perfect World is the China publisher for Dota 2.
Yeah,
They might be.
yeah.
Are they?
Because I know they
believe so.
run the Chinese tournaments for Dota. Because like China has this thing where like you can't sell a game in China without going through a Chinese company, which is why like half of the gaming companies in the world partner
Yeah,
with Tencent.
it's Perfect World is the publisher for Dota 2 in China.
Yeah. So, and now, to be fair, that doesn't engender a lot of confidence because if you pay remotely any attention to Dota 2, you know that Perfect World just, like, royally fucked up the last tournament. Like, to the point where they had to fire the entire production staff during the tournament, and the entire tournament took 1 day longer than expected due to delays.
Okay, well,
So, like, a 3-day tournament ended up taking 4 days. They had to play, like, the last day from, like, a warehouse somewhere because they, like, got kicked out of... They ran out of time in the arena that they were playing in. So, like, I also kind of wonder if because they partnered with Perfect World, if they kind of waited to announce it until, like, some of the shit show from Dota blew over and, like, everyone stopped associating Perfect World with having, like, the most botched esports event
Well,
in, like, years.
And here's the thing, right? I don't think anybody was going to associate what Perfect World did with that with what they're going to be doing with Gigantic, simply because Gigantic is so under the radar compared to that. That it
Yeah.
almost seems like it's a different.
That is
Oh,
very true.
sure.
It seems like
but
more
it's like if-
Perfect World.
Well, but it's something where it's like, you know, if they announce like, hey, we're Perfect World and we're going to be running a gigantic tournament, you know, like a large gigantic tournament as like a promo thing for release, I'd be like immediately like, oh, good, because you do such a good job running tournaments.
Yeah.
No,
No,
and, you know, like that's
honestly,
personally, I haven't been paying attention to like other stuff they've done, but like the biggest thing people know Perfect World for right now is them horribly ruining a Dota tournament.
Well, and honestly thinking, that's something that can work towards later, because obviously right now we're in closed beta. We're not even in closed beta anymore. We're in core right now. We don't even have a beta going on. But that kind of goes into something that they said during the AMA. As somebody asked, when is the next beta event going to be? And they're saying that they're looking for something around the time of early to midsummer. For weekend events, for closed
July.
beta stuff. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's not too far away. Like maybe, you know, a month from now is
2
June,
months.
which
think
is
2
early
months.
summer. I'm thinking 2 months is probably a closer estimate for when that's going to happen. So, you know, we're saying 2 months away is when they're going to bring closed beta weekend events back. I'm assuming closed beta. I somehow doubt that they're going to bring it to an open beta platform, but they did say weekend public
Well-
test, so we don't know.
I think it's going to be closed beta, but like kind of like in and out. Like it's going to be closed beta probably for at least a few weeks, and
Yeah.
you know, to a month, and then like
Or
it'll
at
start
least,
opening up if
or at
stuff's
least
going well.
existing beta members. You know, people who were in
Yeah.
the closed beta before can now try it out on Arc for this weekend, see how you like it, bring, you know, some of your friends back and whatnot, and we'll see how it goes. And then we can open it up to the public. If open beta happens around that time, we could be looking to seeing a good presence at PAX, which is highly possible now, considering the partnership with Perfect World also includes marketing partnerships, which
Yeah.
would be freaking amazing. And if they push those buttons right, I mean, even other developers know this. Motiga has been known for having big booths. They've been known for
Yeah.
having massive convention presences, and
And I mean,
want to
I
see
like
that
big
again.
booths, and I cannot lie.
Yeah, shut up. I knew you were going there. I knew you were going there. But
good.
I
like
think that if they did that again, then also worked something out with the organizers at PAX to having a big PAX Arena kind of exhibition tournament within the already existing competitive scene, you know, without betraying too much that I can't betray. It's awesome. These things that we could see something that's huge coming out, which
Yep.
is a big competitive scene, bringing in big organizations. We already have Renegades in there. There may already be other things under the works. Hey, yeah, we know Renegades.
We have Renegades for now.
Hey, Renegades only screwed up on those ends. And I'm not going to get into that discussion because I already had that discussion.
We'll not breach that drama.
But we could see big organizations pull into this and bring a massive marketing frenzy at PAX Prime, which is honestly what they need, and what they can pull off
need it
with
if
PWE.
the game is ready.
Yeah,
they need it if the game is ready.
That is a fair point.
Because the last thing we need is to do exactly what we did last year, which was hype, everything's awesome, everything is awesome. Oh god, nothing is working.
Nothing is working.
Yeah,
nothing has
really
changed, I think was the big one. And
Yeah.
Honestly, I have to give a lot of credit to the Motigans, specifically to Chris Chung, their CEO, because during the AMA, he was asked, what do they feel like their biggest weaknesses during this past year were and why things happened the way they did. And he 100% went out and said, yeah, we underestimated the amount of time it was going to take to redevelop the game for a new platform.
Yep.
We vastly underestimated it. And we paid the price for it because we also vastly overspent because we thought we were going to be ready by 2015. I have to give a lot of credit for Chris Chung, and I've always had a lot of respect for the guy because the things he said, the time I spent with him, he's 100% the honest guy, and I love the stuff that they said during this AMA. I mean, there are so much good things coming, so many great things said during the AMA. Not even just
actually, read it, but whatever.
It's fantastic. I was kind of I was out and about in the world when that was happening. We're having the Pixel Bot coming back, only it's not Noir Bot, it's the Pixel Man. Attack of the Pixel Man.
It's not me. Good.
The Blur Monster, question mark.
The Blur Monster is back.
The Blur Monster coming back to
is it
Wolfie.
me? Oh, I didn't even notice. Whatever.
But
There,
some of the great things, and this is one that I want to point out because there's so many great things, but this one specifically, I don't remember who said it, but somebody had asked, what exactly is the nature of the relationship between PWE and Motiga, and one of the things that responded is that PWE believes in what Motiga is doing with the game and believes in the development and creative development going forward with the game, and they're going to let them do their job, which is something that we kind of heard from Microsoft before.
Yep.
That's something that really worried me when I at first I saw the partnership and I was like, oh, that's great. They've got money and they've got a good company working with them. And I was like, well, what about the creative process of the game now? Does it fall to Perfect World?
Well, and we know that they're going to have some hand in it as well.
Say?
We know that they are going to have some hand in it because how else are they going to bring it to the ARC platform if they didn't have some help from PWE? But I think that's the extent of what they're doing is they're going to be having platform engineers help them build the game out to be usable with ARC.
I mean, so long as we're not throwing random patch notes at someone at Perfect World and being like, this is what we want to put in, and then they're going to be like, nah. I think that would be... I don't like that idea.
I think there's two things about this. So on the one hand, everything we're hearing from Perfect World right now is things that we heard about the Microsoft deal. The Motiga would retain creative control, and everything would go well, and that it was just some people funding the game and giving them access to all of these new platforms and features. And so there's right reason to be hesitant about this. Because what else were they gonna say, right? No, we're gonna completely subsume the game and make a gigantic paywall and make everyone spend $4,000 on skins. They're never gonna admit that. No one goes into anything like this intending to do that for the most part.
No,
at least not in acquisition. But the thing that is good about this, and the thing that makes me feel good about Perfect World right now, is the fact that we are hearing these things from Perfect World.
Yeah.
Reps from Perfect World are doing already part of the PR and discussion with the community from day 3, right? And that's whereas we pretty much never heard from anyone at Microsoft. As far as we can tell, Microsoft was just here's a bunch of code, go figure out how to integrate it into your system, have fun, see you later, here's some money, bye.
Yeah.
and like it seems like Perfect World is much more like integrated with Motiga.
Yeah, they're a little bit
which
more
you know
hands-on.
it makes Motiga less about like indie, but like who cares
Yeah, who cares?
to some extent.
Well,
Like
that's like having an independent studio working with, you know, somebody like Paradox. That independent studio is still working on their own, but they're getting help from Paradox to do this, that, or the third.
yeah, and I think though the other thing that makes me feel good about this is like having like being at PAX East, like there were the fact that like you saw Runic Games, like the fact that I did not know Runic Games was owned by Perfect World for like 5 years now says something about Perfect World's ability to kind of be hands off on a project that they believe in.
Yeah, and not
Because,
even
like,
just
if you're
be
thinking
hands
about
off,
them-
but be hands on behind doors.
Yeah, like you would never know that Perfect World was attached to Torchlight or Hob. And you know, obviously, because this is going to be on Arc platform, like it's going to be more obvious that Perfect
Yeah.
World is involved here. You know, just completely different style of game, authenticated, different, you know, stuff like that. But like the fact that Perfect World has shown that they are capable of doing the like, we're not going to, you know, have to slather our logos all over all of your stuff and run all of your everything for you,
Yeah.
like makes me a little more confident in their ability to do good things for Gigantic. Because like you saw like even at PAX East, like there was another Perfect World game coming out later this year, Livelock, that had a booth at PAX East that
Yeah, I heard you talking
was-
about that.
you know, honestly, I wasn't super impressed. It's kind of like it's like mission-based Diablo random generated thing, but there's only
Okay.
like 3 characters, and like it was one of those like I might try it, but like I might try it again when it gets further. But like the fact that it was, you know, when I went to the booth and it felt like the same way I felt when I went to like, you know, go to Betiga, where it was like I was sitting there, you know, I was in line chatting with one of the devs about like, you know, so why did you design it that way? Like, what did, you know, okay, so if I'm going to be playing this character, like, what would you recommend? And, like, it was a very, like, it wasn't like, hi, I work in marketing, let me tell you about our cool features. You know,
Yeah.
it, like, it still had the, like, I'm actually working with, and yeah, like I said, like, Livelock, and then Perfect World logo underneath it, but, like,
Yeah, I
It-
mean,
it
Whatever.
felt like it was a good experience, and, like, it seems like Perfect World knows how to run marketing in a, like, non-obtrusive way.
yeah.
And let's
it-
not even add on the fact that with the Arc platform being able to put it on, it was included in the email. I don't know if you guys got it, but with the inclusion of being able to play the game through the Arc system, like people can play this game on Windows 10, they can play it on Windows 8 and 7. Like
Yep.
that
That's a
opens up
huge deal, yeah.
so much stuff. So many people
I
are
kind of
probably
glossed over that because I
completely
thought,
excited
like, I
for
mean,
that.
that's been the biggest news. Is for the longest time, I mean, since what, PAX East last year? This was going. We knew this was going to be a Windows 10, Xbox One exclusive game. But
Yeah.
now that
Yeah.
they're saying, hey, look, with the Arc platform, Windows 10 is no longer a requirement. You can play it on Windows 7. You can play it on 8 and 8.1. You can play it on 10, all through that platform. And some of the things they said on that, which kind of makes it interesting, but also we'll see what happens with this sort of thing, is how they're going to be working with crossplay. Because crossplay is still going to be happening on the Windows App Store version of the game. The UWP version of the game is still going to have crossplay between Xbox and Windows 10 players.
Well,
But
is that
Arc
true,
will
though?
not be able to crossplay with the UWP version
Yeah.
at first. Because
Yeah,
of
well,
how,
yeah, it's not
because of-
guaranteed.
yeah, because of how the cross-network play kind of was announced, sort of, by Microsoft, and they still have to kind of figure out how that's going to work. You know, that going on, it's going to be interesting to see how that evolves. Because that would be really cool if they do something kind of like how Rocket League is doing, where, hey, look, Arc can now play with Windows 10 and Xbox One's players. I mean, it's probably never going to come onto PlayStation 4. It's never going to be working with the PS4 network, probably because of the exclusivity deal that they have for consoles with Microsoft, because they didn't say that that went away. You know, during the AMA, somebody had actually asked, what, you know, how does this affect the previous relationship with Microsoft? And they're saying, well, before we were publishing and partnering with Microsoft, now we're publishing exclusively with Perfect World, but we are still partnered and have exclusivity deals with Microsoft. So
Yeah, it's-
they're never going to bring it to PlayStation, but they might be able to have crossplay happen between people who are on the Arc platform and people playing on Xbox, which I think is what's going to eventually happen. Is if they decide that that's going to be a thing, we're not going to see UWP Windows 10 players anymore. We're going to see Arc Windows 10 players and Windows 7 and Windows 8 players and Xbox players.
Well, no, I mean, I think the way this is going to like break down, whether or not we end up with like full crossplay or not, like the way this is going to break down is probably all PC players are going to be on Arc,
Almost all.
and Xbox players who also have a PC are going to be on UWP.
Yeah, or people
like, if
who
we're
have a
gonna
lot
be,
of
like-
Xbox player friends that they want to play with will play on
Yeah,
YouTube.
but like, because the other big thing that like I was reminded of the other day is the big reason people are going to play on Arc is you can goddamn stream it.
Yeah.
Unlike
Yeah.
UWP, which is a nightmare to stream.
Yeah.
Which, like, so pretty much every streamer is like, unless something changes with how UWP handles its process management, like,
Yeah.
all of the streamers are going to use Arc.
I'm going to use Arc
And
straight up. Not going to even
And
touch anything else.
I think Arc has its own interior chat system too, so we don't have to
It
rely
has
on
voice
that.
chat.
Like,
Yeah,
like
it has
we don't
its
have
own
to
voice
rely on
chat
that
systems.
weird ass Xbox thing, like
Yep.
to chat with people.
Which means that, and they didn't say anything about this. At least I didn't see. Somebody had asked about how voice chat systems were going to work for Gigantic in the future. They were saying that they might try and integrate something with Gigantic, but I mean, they don't need to really. They can just use the Arc systems. Just have like a thing. Hey, you're playing on Arc. Here are the 5 people on your team. Here they are, their Arc names, and connect. Straight up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Arc does that. Like, I haven't played other games on Arc. But
Yeah, I
like,
haven't either.
hypothetically, that's a thing.
Hypothetically, yeah, that would be a thing. And
I
that'd be
have
the
it
smart thing.
downloaded on my computer, and I don't know why. But
I have
it's
it downloaded.
there. Like
what
just
what
Arc.
for?
I don't know. It's just there, and I was like, all right. Well, I guess
Open
I
it up
have
and
it.
see what games it has registered to your account.
I think it has one of. I mean, obviously it has to be one of their MMOs, but I don't know which one. But
I'm gonna open it up. I don't have any games registered for my account. I had to actually create an account.
But I mean, I guess it's there.
Oh,
so
also,
I
the
don't-
really nice, like, this is like total fringe benefit. Arc does Battle.net and Steam style usernames where you can have multiple people with the same username.
Yeah,
So,
which means that there's going to be, a in-game username, nickname thing.
I'm gonna be so happy for that. Like, it was
I
so
don't
weird.
have-
Like, when we
I
moved to
don't have
Xbox
to be
and everyone.
Wolfers.
Yeah, we moved to Xbox and like no one could get their actual name.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, I could because
Scooby doesn't. Scooby doesn't have to be Dragoncock anymore.
Dragonok. Yeah. Oh man. But that's an awesome thing in and of itself. I think there's also the possibility of being brought onto Steam as well because Torchlight's on Steam, and it's also in
Yeah.
Arc as well.
Though, no, Torchlight I don't think is in Arc.
You can get it in Arc.
Torchlight 1 and Torchlight 2 came out before Arc was a thing, as I recall. But there are other games that are published through Steam, and they do. It's the same thing as like how Origin games are handled, where you buy it through Steam and you open it in Steam, and then Steam opens Uplay, and Uplay opens the game.
Yeah.
It's like
Here's a good.
silly and dumb, but whatever.
Yeah, Torchlight's in Arc. Torchlight 1 and Torchlight 2 are both in
I'm
Arc.
sure you can get them. You can also get them separate from Arc because
Yeah, same with Elsword. Elsword is a Arc game as well, and that's also on Steam.
I've never even heard of that.
It's interesting. It's a weird game. I thought it was cool, but Star Conflict is Arc. APB Reloaded is Arc. Neverwinter Nights.
Oh, that's I probably have an Arc account from APB.
Yeah, Neverwinter is an Arc thing. Prime World is an Arc thing.
I remember playing Neverwinter with who was it? It was one of your friends from Kerbal Space Program.
Really?
Yeah.
Macrior, maybe? It doesn't
No,
matter.
it was-
Jade Destiny, Battle of Immortals. All these games. Some of them are available on Steam. So here's the question, and this was also posed in there. It was actually on Bazilil's Reddit AMA recap sheet. Was one of the first couple of questions. Migo. Some of the bigger PWE titles are available through Steam, like Blacklight, like Neverwinter, like Torchlight. He said that they're looking forward to expanding Gigantic's footprint on all platforms. That was what Chris Chung had said. So, maybe Steam? You never know. And if they do, I mean, how many more players are going to touch this because of that? I mean, people have made the argument, oh, Battleborn's on Steam, that's going to be played a lot more than Gigantic. It's really not, though. Like,
No, yeah, because Battleborn, what was it? I can't remember who posted this. I think it was like either someone
Battleborn
on
is like
Twitter.
$60, and you like
No,
you
no.
don't you can't even play it.
No.
unless you actually buy it.
Battleborn had fewer players on it than people that were
Borderlands
playing
2?
Borderlands 2. That was
Yeah,
hilarious.
Borderlands 2, which came out like 5 years ago.
Borderlands 2 had
Other
more
active
players playing it than
players
Battleborn.
Borderlands on Steam. Yeah, it's like
That's so
which
hilarious.
I feel kind of bad about because, like, actually, honestly, like Battleborn looks like a great game, and like
It does, and
you know,
Voxel absolutely loves it. So,
Yeah,
you know,
I think
it's stuff like that. But
I
like,
would consider picking it up on sale, but like, I don't think it's gonna.
no, I don't think it's going to make the splash people are expecting it to. So I don't know
I don't
how
think
much
it
of a
needs the
Steam,
splash.
quote unquote, a Steam presence is going to help or hurt Gigantic if they ever bring it over. I mean, to be fair, bringing the game to any other platform or to any other place where you can get it is just going to help. Period.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you know, what kind of help that's going to be. I don't know what kind of changes it's going to make. I don't know what, you know, footprint that's going to add. But any other area where you can get the game is going to be helpful. So hopefully they do bring it to Steam. That'd be awesome.
I think everyone just kind of, you know, people have a weird thing for Steam and wanting it to be on Steam, and
Yeah.
like, you know,
Because
okay,
people
well,
have this weird love fantasy with Valve for some reason.
Well, I mean, it's all your
Half-Life.
Steam's just nice. Steam's just nice because it has all your games in one place. Like you
Yeah.
know, I'll admit, like
Yeah,
those games
I-
I don't buy because I don't want to bother with another goddamn launcher.
I like Steam
Yeah.
for specifically that reason. It's just because everything's there, and I'm just like, oh.
There's, I think, only one game that I have that is also available on Steam that I do not use Steam for, and that is Orcs Must Die. That is it.
Yeah.
That is the only one. Not the original ones, the new one, Unchained. I have.
Yeah.
And that's just because we talked to the devs at PAX East, and they were awesome. And they're like, yeah, we get more money from our personal client than we do through Steam, so if you want to support the devs, buy our client. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't mind dealing with that. But, yeah, hopefully, you know, they might bring it to Steam, you know, back to Motiga, obviously. Hopefully we'll see a big growth through, you know, different platforms like Steam, you know, through Perfect World, which is what, you know, Chris Chung was saying, is that with the help of Perfect World, we'll see more growth happening, and we don't know which directions that's going to be taking. We don't know, you know, where they're going to get to. We don't know what new things they're going to do, and we don't know right now the impact of the partnership is going to be. But to be fair, the community consensus, that alliteration, is this is a good thing. This looks nice.
I'm glad
I
that
feel
people are
happy
responding
with
so
this.
positively.
Well, and
I'm
let's
really
be
glad
honest.
people are
Can
responding
either of you?
positively.
I can't. Can either of you think of any negative thing that has come out with this partnership so far?
My only negative is just personal because I don't know the company, but that's really the only thing. If I knew more information about Perfect World and everything that they've dealt with, then I'd be like, yeah, this is great. I mean, I am still like, this is great because, you know, I'm like, if everyone has such a positive response and if Perfect World makes these good games and does really well marketing and media and all this stuff and they're really into our community, perfectly fine with it. Like, that's great. It's just my own little personal gripe is I wish I knew more information about Perfect World.
I think to be the like abject pessimist, I think it's very easy for people to see something like this as like this is inherently positive because like you compare this to like last year when we heard about the Microsoft deal where we were in a position with the Microsoft deal where the game was already in a decent looking place and the Microsoft deal was like, guys, we traded like Windows 7 and Windows 8 for Xbox. Everyone was just like, but we don't play it on Xbox. Like we don't care.
Yeah.
Like, isn't Microsoft kind of weird and creepy? And like, don't you like? Why would we do this?
Weird and creepy.
And like, whereas like I think with Perfect World, we're in a position where it's like, guys, the game literally isn't going to come out without somebody backing them, and everyone's just kind of like, okay, well, Perfect World has money, and they don't seem to be like horrible people that are going to burn everything down around us. And there's more of a. This is, at least right now on the surface, a pure upside, right? Like, I think the initial concern is we are splitting the community even harder than before, right?
That's a fair point.
There will be people on ARC and there will be people on UWP, and the fact that, like, one of the things that came up is, like, when we signed with Microsoft, everyone was like, oh, God, but, like, why would you play it on both? And it's like, oh, because it's your Xbox account is actually linked, right? Like, shit you unlock on Xbox will also show up in your PC account and vice versa. This will not happen between UWP and ARC.
No. And that was actually
a
concern.
Accounts.
That was actually a concern that was brought up during the AMA, because somebody asked this, is like, hey, aren't you double dipping on the paywall here? You know, why,
And
this
yes,
is going to divide the
kind of,
community.
but,
It's like, yes, kind of, but you don't have to play on both. And
Well,
there's
and
almost
the
going,
reason
like you
is
say, there's
there's no
almost nobody
option.
that's going to do it.
Well, but the thing is, there's really no option there, right? Like, it's not like they can't link Arc to Xbox and they can't link Xbox to Arc. So, like, I'm not like, oh, they're trying to, like, they're, you know, be conniving, trying to get more money out of me. It's like, no, like, if I just, you know, if I have a friend or two that want to play on Xbox, I'll just have a UWP account with nothing unlocked on it, and I'll just play whatever the free week heroes are. And, like, it'll suck, but I'll deal with it. You know, so it is dangerous, right? Because, like, we are at a point where this is inevitably going to split the community somewhat. Because, like, just naturally, some people are going to find it through UWP, and some people are going to find it through ARC, and already have an account where they've unlocked all the heroes on UWP when they find out that the community is small and they're only playing with Xbox players. And then they're like, well, I don't want to migrate to ARC. And so there's going to be, like, that's going to inherently cause some, like, fracturedness to the community.
Yeah,
The question is, does Perfect World's marketing budget and promotion budget make up for the loss of people we're going to lose from a fractured community?
Here's
'Cause
what
we
I
need,
think
like,
is going to
20% more people in the community to make it feel like the same size of a community, because it's going to be on
be fractured, yeah. What I think is going to realistically happen, though, is people are going to see this game and go to the main site. Much in the same way people will first, you know, several years ago, saw League of Legends coming out, and they went to the League of Legends website and downloaded there. This is a little bit of a different situation, but I think this is what we're going to see, is people saying, hey, I see Gigantic, I don't know too much about it, let me go to their website and read a little, and that's where people are going to kind of split off, is saying, hey, if you want to play Windows 10 only or Xbox, you play on this version. If you want
No, but
Windows
that's not
7
gonna
through
happen.
here, you play on this version.
That's not going to happen. The Domain Gigantic website is going to send you to ARC. Period. Like, almost for sure.
Almost
It's gonna send you
certainly.
to ARC or Xbox. But the big thing.
Yeah,
to
it'll
remember
probably
about
have like an
all of that-
Xbox button on the main site and say, hey,
Yeah,
here's
like,
where you play if you're on
Perfect World-
Xbox.
Perfect World, who is going to run the marketing, does not care about Xbox inherently, because they
Yeah.
make no money off of Xbox purchases. Probably, like, they might profit share some of it over, but, like, they
I
would
doubt
rather
it.
you play it on ARC.
Well, yeah, 100%.
Which is inherent. So, like, the market, like, it's gonna be this weird thing. But, like, the other thing you have to remember is this is a free to play game, right? Like, the number of free to play games where I'm just, like, posting on Steam and it, like, shows up on my Steam thing. It's like, oh, that looks fun. I'll click here, download on Steam. Like, you're talking about, like, Orcs Must Die, where they're like, we'd rather you use our platform instead of through Steam so we get more money.
Yeah.
Like, I came back from PAX. Like, I didn't talk to them that much. I came back from PAX. I was like, oh yeah, this game looks interesting. I've got a code for a skin. Let me go onto Steam and download it, because, like, that's my innate mental thing. Like, if you're somebody who's used to Xbox or is, like, used to UWP applications,
They're going to
they'll
download
go
it
to
there.
the Windows Store and buy it on the Windows Store. And then you
But
get this
they're
weird
just
fringe
quite...
community.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Exactly that, actually. It's a fringe community, because I don't know too many people that even touched the store before Gigantic was a thing. Like, I never touched the Windows Store before Gigantic
It
was a
didn't-
thing.
Well, the Windows Store
Yeah.
didn't really exist until Gigantic was a thing.
Yeah,
because, like,
and
Windows
I don't
didn't
know
come
it's-
out until after Gigantic.
Yeah, and I don't know too many people who are going to be like, oh yeah, I play on the Windows Store. I'm going to go ahead and download this for my computer. Yeah! No, that's not going to happen. We're going to have people who play on Xbox say, you know what, I play on Xbox. I'm going to download it there. Because I have to. And you're going to have literally everyone else, like you're saying, go to the ARC platform.
Yeah.
Is what
And
it's
so,
going to be. So I would
the
say you're
question-
probably correct with the original statement. This is, or definitely correct with the original statement. This is going to fragment the community.
The question then is whether or not there will be enough Xbox players
to
for
support an
the
Xbox community.
version not to just be dead weight on the
Yeah.
new team.
Yeah, and
Because there is zero, like, given how much time it's taken them to come out with the UWP, there is zero chance that it's going to be a, like, oh, we just developed it for ARC and then just hit a different button to compile it for Windows. Like, there is no way that it's not going to take some amount of dev time to do a release on UWP, in addition to whatever time it takes them to do ARC. And so, like, we're going to accept that, like, we're losing X% of dev time to upkeep on Xbox.
Yeah, and the way that this is going, like, it doesn't even it kind of doesn't even make sense for them to stay with Microsoft at this point. If
That's
like,
actually what surprises me. I'm surprised
if
that they
everything is going to
decided.
go on to Perfect World and the ARC system.
I'm surprised they decided to keep Xbox. I mean, like, I understand there's some amount of, like, some cost to it where it's like, well, we already built it,
yeah.
but, like, I don't know. I kind of wonder if, like, we wouldn't be better off just killing Xbox.
Yeah, and
Here's
it's
the
gonna completely depend on how many people stay with the Xbox community. Like,
here's I think
there's
where
an investment that Microsoft has put in, and if they don't get a surplus amount of what they've put in to promote Xbox and help with the Xbox development of the version of the game, like, they're not gonna want to stay. They want to.
Well, they already left.
Yeah.
I know, that's what I'm saying. They're gonna pull out their money and they're gonna say no. Like, we're not gonna fund you anymore. We're not.
Well,
gonna
they are.
keep
That
this
already
game.
happened.
that already happened. Yeah.
Well, I know it did.
That's how we
but I'm
got in
saying,
this
like,
mess.
it's gonna make it even worse, and Xbox is just gonna stop existing. Like, there's.
And
no
here's the
reason
thing,
for it
I
to
don't
keep
think
going.
anyone's going to give a damn if that does happen. But what I think may happen
People will
is
care, but not
here,
a ton.
here's what I think may happen, rather, is something similar to what happened to the Xbox community for Titanfall, where everybody on the PC community was like, yeah, no, fuck this, I'm not paying, this shit for this game when I can play similar games or similar titles or titles that I like and that are better supported for my PC, and I'm not going to touch Titanfall. But on Xbox, the Titanfall community stuck around and was big. So what we may end up seeing is people like Ratboy, or people who are Xbox players who legitimately enjoy the game, who will stick around and may stream through Xbox onto Twitch and grow a small Xbox community and stick around through that. Whether or not that will be enough for us to say, oh yeah, it's worth it to keep the Xbox community around, I don't know. But it's a possibility that they grow on their own.
I just want to, I feel like we should exclude Ratboy from that because he's been gone for a few months and he's been working on, personal stuff.
Yeah.
And he's been saving to buy a computer because he wants to play the PC version of this game, because he knows that the Xbox
I knew that,
version
but
of
I wasn't
it
going to say that.
the Xbox version of it is not improving, and he wants to play with the rest of us on a higher scale. But
Yeah.
that's just
Here,
with him.
I think
honestly
Almighty
wish
is
they
the right version. It has the right answer here. Let the Xbox players be. I don't care, so long as development doesn't suck up time. That's all.
But it will. It will suck up time, period. 100%. There is zero chance that keeping up an Xbox version won't be a time suck.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
they were
if
going to
they're-
have to have a time suck anyway because they have to have the UWP version, and it's the same version
Or
for
they
Windows
just
as it is for
kill the
Xbox.
UWP version. No, the UWP Windows 10 version, if you kill Xbox, has no reason to exist.
I don't disagree with that, but I don't think can. I mean, we don't know the exact,
Yeah,
ins and outs of their contract with Microsoft, but I don't think
But
they can
that's-
just say, you know what? No, screw this, done. I don't think they
But
can.
that's the exact problem that Perry is pointing out, though, Shmoo, is the fact that
It may just become
Most-
dead weight. Yeah, and that was the original assessment, yes.
Motiva
Like-
is not a big enough company to work on an Xbox version, a UWP version, and an ARC version of the same game all at the same time.
Well, UWP
Like, there's
Xbox
just
is the
no-
same version.
There's just no
Not really.
possible way.
Really?
At
There's
very
no-
least, it's extra
Shows what
QA.
I know.
Well, no, I mean, it's the same, it's compiled the same, but you still have to QA it on the Xbox platform and the Windows platform, because they're not
Yeah.
literally the same platform.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even if it's even if it's wrapped in a way that it behaves the same way, it is at very least you have to have an entire Xbox QA team of 3 people at $60,000 a year each.
Yeah.
And no, it's Seattle, so $80,000 a year each.
So it's gonna
We're
suck up
dumping
resources.
$250
Yeah,
million a year into
I don't know.
Xbox.
I think it's-
at minimum.
I think it's a bit early though to start making this argument because like we.
No, this is the only time. The issue is once it's released, you can't kill it, right?
Mm-hmm.
No game is ever going to be okay, well, the Xbox's version has been out for 3 months and no one really plays it, so I guess we're killing it. That's not going to happen.
It might.
Shmoo, you can't kill the conversation or kill the stream because we're up to 16 viewers, and that's the highest we've had in
In months.
Um,
No, I think what happens will happen. I think if we do see an evolution of the relationship between Microsoft and Gigantic and Motiga, where they say, you know what, we don't feel this is going to benefit us, and in turn is probably going to hinder us, then they can cut the deal, and I wouldn't see a negative to that.
See, you're assuming that Microsoft cares a lot more than Microsoft cares.
Yeah.
If Microsoft cared, we wouldn't be in this mess.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying though is if they do, I don't think it's going to be a negative. I don't like you said, if they do end up cutting off the UWP platform, if they do end up cutting relationships with Microsoft and stopping their Xbox production, I don't think it's going to be a negative. Like you said, it's just going to be dead weight on the development team, money going into a pit pretty much, and I think realistically I wouldn't have a problem with cutting it off.
Yeah.
And that's, I feel sad for saying that because even, yesterday we had on the, I think it was yesterday, it was either yesterday or the day before, someone was asking, what will you play on? It was Board Brit saying, what will you play on? There were a lot of people saying Xbox because they were our Xbox players. They still like the game and they still want to do it. Like the number one thing on there was a guy saying he's going to be playing on Xbox. So that's the thing, is like I'd hate to see members of the community be alienated and cut out because of just simply dev stuff, but that's what it really is like we don't have the time or the resources, or it's just not making us that kind of money, so bye, done. I'd hate for that to happen, but honestly speaking, I don't think that would be too much of a bad thing if it did.
And I'd also like to point out, like, we live in a day and like this is just going into like society right now. Like we live in this kind of world where there's a very few amount of people that don't have a computer or like a laptop at least. And it's not like Gigantic requires a lot of processing power.
It does right now.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing.
We'll see if it gets optimized.
If it gets optimized, if it gets better and things become more accessible, I don't see any reason why people that were on Xbox or like don't exactly like to play games on their computer, like they probably still could. I don't mind, I don't mind losing people so long as we get more people from a different platform that is more accessible, more user friendly, and just better for the game in general.
It's a fair point. That is fair enough. If we have more accessibility, and a possibility of a better community, then that is what it is. We lose that side of the community, but we gain a better side. It is what it is.
Well, we lose that side of the community for the greater good.
Exactly. That, I think, is the better way to say that. What else? Is there really anything else we can talk about with this big old change?
We can reevaluate the situation of what Sloppy's saying is the creative direction, which still belongs to Motiga, and
we hope
hopefully that won't be changed.
Well, and they said in the AMA that they, believe in what they're doing. I'm gonna go ahead and find that question exactly.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think it's a bit like it's hesitant to trust the AMA too much. Like, obviously, I want to believe that everyone has the best intentions at heart here.
Here it is.
So much of this is going to depend on exactly how the nuts and bolts work out. And how everything works.
Here it is. Retired Magician. What will be involvement of PW due to game structure and development? Will things continue as they have been, or will there be tweaks and changes? And the communications manager from PWE said development will continue from Motiga. We believe in the vision of the game and the plans that they have, which is why we partnered with them. That is where I say fearing for the creative control is not something that I'm afraid of. I don't think that Perfect World is going to control it.
I don't think Perfect World is going to turn the game into like a they're not going to turn it into like League of Legends or something. Like I think we're still going to end up with a gigantic game that we play in the way that we've always played it. I think people's worry is less that like they're going to turn Gigantic into a different style of game, but more of if the game ends up being expensive, do we start seeing them charging more for things? If the game starts taking more time, do they push it out the door before it's fully ready? How long is it going to take to migrate things onto Arc? And a lot of these are things that's like everyone can go into it with the best of intentions, but like sometimes it just doesn't work out cleanly. And I think that's honestly, I think that's what we saw with the Microsoft deal was like, I don't feel like Microsoft came into it like, we're going to destroy their game by making them re-platform for 3 years. And it's like, no, like Microsoft fully intended this to be a profitable investment. It's just UWP took longer than expected. Maybe it's Microsoft didn't help out enough. Maybe it's the UWP code wasn't ready for them. Maybe it's that Motiga, like their developers had a hard time doing it, or Motiga didn't have enough money to staff it as much as they did. Who knows? Like, there's an infinite universe of things that clearly went wrong that got us to the place we were in January. But, those sorts of things, anytime you introduce some amount of new work, new platforming, new management, there's always the risk that will happen.
And to
be fair, I think Motiga could have all those problems internal to their company anyway. Like, it's not like Perfect World necessarily causes problems that couldn't have happened otherwise. Like, Motiga's managers might make a horrible decision that causes the game to have problems again.
And I think that it would be good. I think it would be good that Motiga takes notice of the fact that there is such a positive reaction to this partnership happening.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that they grab it by the reins and just ride all the way down the road and into the sunset and create a happy, wonderful game where we all love and will continue to play for a long time. Words are hard right now. I've had 4 hours of sleep. But I think another thing that should be pointed out is what you said a long time ago when you brought up Microsoft in the first place was there was such a mixed feeling / negative reaction to the Microsoft partnership from the beginning, and yet it continued anyway. And I'm hoping that Motiga has learned their lesson in saying that this is not something that we wanted and we don't think is a good idea. But this one with Perfect World, this seems really good. I like this, and
Yeah.
I think it's going to change a different.
Really,
mindset
though, I
in
think
the
that's
studio.
just because Perfect World is not Microsoft. I think that's literally it. They could have said literally anybody other than EA or Microsoft, and people would have been fine with the answer.
I think the thing is the worry people have with Perfect World is the monetization. Because they're Perfect World, because they're a Chinese publisher, because they have a history of making Chinese paywall MMOs as their primary mode of monetization and making money as a publisher, people are worried about that. And, that's justified. That is, the thing with that, though, is if that is your biggest worry, that is something that is very, very easy to see.
Yeah.
Right? It's not if it's something where it's people are worried about, Microsoft because they do weird things or abandoned games, we just saw, people were always Microsoft won't abandon Motiga, they've sunk too much money. It's you do realize Microsoft just abandoned Lionhead Studios where they dumped $75 million into the new Fable game. Microsoft did not care, as a company. Perfect World seems like they are much more invested in this and at least getting it to market. And if it gets to market and it's not paywalled everything, I think that's the worst thing that could happen. Is it comes to market and skins are $15 and look awful.
Yeah, that'll be weird.
I don't think that'll happen. I think that'll only happen in the case where it's the game was not going to make it to market otherwise because they were running out of money.
Yeah, that'll probably be the only situation. But yeah, that's about it. Things are going to be interesting going into the future. There's a lot that's still up in the air.
Made this run for an hour.
Yeah, never know. We are chatterbox, man.
Thing.
We really are. There are a lot of things that are still up in the air. There are a lot of things that we don't know. And like Perry said before, it's hard to trust the AMA 100% because what is an AMA? It's words, not actions. And we'll see what happens in the future. We might see a lot of what they said come true, and things will be good, and everyone will be happy. You never know. We may see the death of UWP. We don't know what's going to happen with that. We may see Xbox community get massive. We don't know. It could become a massive deal. So with all that said and done, a lot of this being speculation, I'd like to actually say thank you and welcome on into the Perfect World, guys. I, for one, hail our new overlords. No, we welcome them on in. We'll see.
You'll make me more nervous.
It's like, welcome on in. This is a great community. I hope you see that, obviously, and we'd love to hear more from you guys in the future. That being said, we do have a couple of emails where you guys can go ahead and email us. That is Bullrush or the Bullrush at GG Unleashed. Let me get that graphic up real quick.
I think it is the Bull Rush.
It is
pretty sure
the
it's
Bull
the Bull
Rush.
We need to remember this every
The
time.
Bull Rush.
Yes. Yeah, here we go. It is the Bull Rush, or no, not the Bull Rush. Bull Rush at ggunleashed.com. There it is. No just Bull Rush. Bull Rush at ggunleashed.com. You can go ahead and email us out if you guys have questions or different topics you want to talk about, or even if you just have feedback on this show. If you want, you could go ahead and email those. It gets to me, to Wolfman, and Perry, all three of us, or you can also email us at our specific names at GG Unleashed. That's Schmugledorf at ggunleashed.com, the Noirbot at ggunleashed.com, or to Wolfman at ggunleashed.com for specific comments or things you want to talk to us about. You can also follow us at our Twitters up above, at Noirbot, at Schmugledorf, at Wolfman, and also feel free to follow us at GG_Unleashed as well for any updates going on within the GG Unleashed world. We do also have another show, One Pixel, being run by Basilil and Zeru from Team Art, and they are going to be doing another show, I think on the 17th is what they were saying. They're going to be doing their next show.
Tuesday nights.
Yeah, Tuesday nights. So go ahead and check that out as well. Follow the channel for that. And if you do end up missing any previous shows, or you just want to watch previous shows, those are all at our YouTube, youtube.com/user/GGUnleashed. For any of that, I think I didn't upload the last one because that one kind of had some weird audio issues going on with that. The audio sync was off on my microphone, so yeah, fun with that. That's gonna be about it, though, guys. Thank you so much for following and watching the show. Unfortunately, there is not anybody else that we know that's streaming that we can go ahead and
streaming Gigantic,
because there is no more Gigantic right now.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much for watching. As always, we will see you next time.
Later.